What's up, everybody? Henry Fernandez here. Now, time is very precious. Time is quickly passing by each and every one of us each and every day. And what you do with your time is very important. Will determine whether or not you're going to have a bright future, successful future, whether or not you're going to achieve the things that you are desiring in life. And I can't tell you how many times in my lifetime that I have wasted precious time. So let's talk about that. I want you to, gather your friends, make sure you make your comments, talk to me. I do go back and look at the comments, man. I need for you to share with me what you think about this. So the first thing I want to do is to ask you, not your neighbor, but you, a personal question. Have you wasted time? Think about that. If you were to look back into your past, do you see where, you wasted time, and that wasted time set you back maybe a couple of years, months, or you had missed opportunities? Who's going to be honest out there? Have you wasted time? I have. Okay, but it's never too late for you to correct that. So I want to talk about you not wasting any more time after this podcast. You have no more excuse. There shouldn't be any reason why you allow yourself to waste time. So let's maximize the moment now on the podcast. Now, the first thing I want to share with you is don't waste your time when it comes to your past mistakes. All of us, I don't care how sanctified, how holy you project yourself to be, all of us have some point in time in life wasted some time. And we look back at our past and we're not proud of it, right? But how is it going to benefit you if you sit there, whether every day or occasionally, and worry about your past? Man, I wish I could change that. You speaking, I wish I could change that. I wish I could go back into my past and, rethink some things and do things differently, and maybe I shouldn't have done that, and so forth. Okay, all of that said, that's wasted time. You cannot change your past. Let me say it again. You cannot change your past. It's in history. It's a part of who you are. Learn from your mistakes. Learn from the bad decisions you've made. Learn from, what people have done you in the past that perhaps to this day, it's affecting you emotionally. Learn from all those things, but you can no longer sit there and allow your past to control you. You can't do that. Don't allow your past to control you. So I want to ask all of you who are listening and watching today is to flush out those emotional feelings that tends to keep dragging you back into your past, wanting you to count the days, the months, the years that you, were unsuccessful, that you didn't do it in a way, that you are proud of, whatever it is, the associations that you've had, let it go. Just let it go. The greatest thing you can do for yourself right now is to let go of the past. The Apostle Paul says that we ought to forget those things which are behind us. Isn't that powerful? Forget those things which are behind you and reach forth for the things that are ahead of you. There's so many things that God has placed before you right now, and things that are ahead of you. All God wants you to do is to, focus on where He's taking you. So don't waste your time. I do not want you to waste another moment, another time, especially in this crucial hour of your life, worried about your past. Let it go. So you messed up. Okay, fine. So you made bad decisions. So you had some losses. So you had some criticisms. Okay, fine. So certain things didn't work. Let it go. Don't waste time on your past. Number 2, don't waste time on broken relationships. Now, this is a big one, and I want everybody to listen to me. Don't. There's some relationships, you have to understand this. Though you're crying and you're moping and you're saying, oh, I wasted my time and, I don't know why that person did me that way. And it doesn't have to be a relationship with someone that you were intimately involved in. You married the person or you were dating the person. I'm talking about any type of relationship, business relationship, friendship. Do not waste your time over broken relationships, because you've got to understand this. Sometimes God will allow you to meet people only for a season. I had to learn that the hard way. We always, if you know me, I love friends for life, right? But sometimes you have to understand, some people come into your life only because they are scaffold. What do you mean, Henry? They're a scaffold. When you are doing construction, and I remember when my house was being built, the foundation was laid, all right? So they brought in a certain set of workers to lay the foundation. When that was done, maybe certain skills that they used at the foundation, they don't need it at that time. There were some other guys came in, and I saw when they were putting the blocks up and so forth, and the steel in the blocks and so forth. And then when they got the roof on, when they were putting on the roof, there were some scaffolds. And when the roof was on to put up the sheetrock and the ceiling, they had some scaffolds that they brought in. And, the scaffolds were tall, they were long, they were wide. The whole house just looked like a mess. But their job was important at that time. The painter couldn't do it. The electrician couldn't do it. The plumber couldn't do it. It was those guys who had the skills to climb on scaffolds, to go ahead and put the ceiling up and to put the drywalls on and so forth. But when all of that was done, the scaffolds had to come down. Now, can you imagine after my house was being built, if I'd left those scaffolds there and so forth? We got to learn that people are sent into our lives sometimes for a season. Now, there's some people forever. And listen to me, when you find those forever people, listen to me, girl, when you find those forever people, hold on to them for their life. Don't let your emotions chase them away. Even when it's a husband or a boyfriend, some of you chase people away because, you just wasting time. You're letting your emotions drive you to do stupid stuff that's scaring the heck out of them. But back to the point I was making, when it comes to certain people, God will allow them to be in your life for a season. So if the relationship got broken, okay, as long as you know, watch this now, as long as you know the blame is not on you. Because sometimes we need to check our lives, right? We're quick to point fingers at other people. These people are this, and that person is that, and that person is not genuine, and that person's a liar, and that person is a trickster, and that person, and we go on, and we always blaming everybody else, but we never turn the spotlight on us. We never say, let me check my attitude. Let me check my ways. Let me check to see if maybe I need to change. I need to make adjustments and so forth, right? But anytime a relationship is broken, don't waste time. Because some relationships you don't need to go back into. Ooh, that's good. Some relationships you don't need to invite into your life once again. I know they're calling. I know they're trying to get back in. Sometimes just let it go. Don't waste time. It was good when you met them. It was good when you had them, right? But let it go, right? If you're divorced, my goodness, let it go. Move on. And I know it sounds very simple because some of you want to get back at the person, right? You want to just see the person suffer. Let it go. You hate when you see them with somebody else. Now you have to ask yourself the question. Now this is hard. This is hard. Don't attack me now. Maybe you were dating the person and you didn't treat the person right, or you were too sensitive, or you didn't do your part. Now, maybe in some cases, yeah, the person is wrong and they weren't good enough for you, and they were really a liability. Then praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Glory to God. Then why are you wasting time worried about that person? You know they weren't good for you. Move on. Move on. Why are you going to go and drink spoiled milk? It's not good for your tummy. Glory to God. So let it go. But if you know your value and your worth, and that relationship is broken, move on. Move on. Thank God you're out of it. Better opportunities there. Think about that. And I want to say to those of you, if you're in a relationship right now, I'm telling you, take assessment. Maybe nobody's daring and bold to tell you this. Take assessment of your relationship. Now, if you're going to attack me, throw me under the bus, or try to, attack me in your mind or verbally as you're watching right now, and you're going to get the attitude, child, I ain't listening to that. Well, I can't help you. But if you really want to see change in your life, maybe you need to first examine yourself and say, okay, let me see. Am I at fault here in this dating process? Am I at fault in this marriage? And change and adjust. However, if after evaluating yourself, you see where, okay, everybody can improve, right? But you see where, really, you're willing, your heart is there, and, you're sincere, but your spouse is just, the devil is turned loose on your spouse, and just crazy stuff and so forth. You have to get to the place where you need to understand this, that you don't need to waste time on anything in any relationship that is one-sided. It's not going to work. It's not. You have to accept it one day and say, Lord, okay, I've done my best. I've done my best. And if it's not benefiting you, don't waste your time. And I know this is not a common thing to hear. I'm not telling you to walk away from something that God has ordained. I'm never telling you that. But what I'm saying to you, sometimes God has already released you, but yet you're holding on to things and wasting time on things that will not ultimately benefit you. So broken relationships, when it's broken, let it go. Let it go. Maybe you had a best friend. Let it go. The best friend betrayed you. The best friend, or you did something to offend the best friend and you've apologized multiple times and the friend keeps bringing it up and can't get past it. Let it go. The relationship is broken. Don't try to attach something that no longer fits. Whew, that's good. Don't do that. So perhaps as you're in this season of your life, and many of you are taking inventory of what you've accomplished and, what the next season of your life is going to be like, you probably need to just realize that, wait a minute, I don't need to waste any more time on broken relationships. I don't. I can't afford to. Let it go. Some of you are trying to go back to something that broke you. How silly is that? How silly are you going to go back to something that almost took your life, that almost took your dignity, your manhood, your womanhood? Why would you want to go into something that jeopardized your womanhood? Don't do it, man. Don't waste time. Number 3, don't waste time with people who don't value you. Now, this is a big one. Woo! Do not. If people don't know your worth and you allow them to keep cheapening your value, then it's not on them, it's on you. So don't waste time on people who don't put value on you. Know your worth. If you know you deserve better, you're not saying you deserve, the world, but you're just saying you deserve better. Better simply means you can do better. I don't have to settle for that. Come on now. Don't ever let anybody, even on the job and so forth. If you see, I tell people this all the time, that you will be paid based on your value. If you bring something to the table, your value will be compensated. But sometimes we're demanding stuff and we can't show a reason why you should be compensated for that. You can't go to your boss, I need more money, because what's the value? What value do you bring to the table? Don't tell your boss because you got bills and you got issues and you got a child now and all. That ain't got nothing to do with the job. Just because you went out and you have more financial responsibility don't mean that your company that you work for is obligated to meet those extra costs. No, they're going to pay you based on your worth. Same thing with people. People are going to treat you based on your worth. For those of you who are running companies and businesses and so forth, you need to understand this. You ought to know what you bring to the table. So if you are, let's say you have a restaurant and you're selling food, okay? All right, you're selling chicken and your chicken is $2. Down the street, their chicken is $1. Now, if you're not careful, people will come into your store. Well, why are you selling your chicken for $2 and they down the street selling it for $1? Right? You don't argue with people. Don't be rude. But in your head, you got to think, okay, well, if it's $1 chicken you want, go down. Go down the street and get out my store and go buy your chicken down there for $1. Up in here, I know what my chicken is worth. I know the time, the season, the recipe. I know the presentation. I know my worth. So I am selling you a product that I believe is worth $2. Now, you don't like it, get out of my store and go down somebody else's store and go get what you want. Now, you go buy your $1 chicken. But I'm going after my clients. Ooh, you got to know your clientele, man. You got to know there are people who will pay you $5 for that same chicken you're trying to sell for $2. But you got these cheap people out there who want to get anything they can get for nothing. They want to devalue your worth. So don't let people do that to you. Whether it's in a relationship, people make you think, okay, really, I deserve better. Okay, fine, if you deserve better. Let's say they say you're not attractive enough. You're not handsome enough. Okay, fine. Know your worth. Know your worth. Don't let any man look at you, and I don't care, he look at you and he makes you feel like he can get somebody. That's fine. It may be true because it goes both ways. It may be true that he honestly can find somebody better than you and more attractive, more money, more influence. That's fine. And maybe that's how it's supposed to be, right? But if you know your worth, see, if you don't know your worth, if you're playing around, then you've got a problem. But if you know your worth, watch this, you're a decent woman, your heart, when you're in, and you're a man's covering, you're there. Of course, he's going to do his part, but you're there. You're not going to bring drama in his life. You're going to do your part and so forth. When you know your worth, you don't care what a guy comes and say to you about anything. You know your worth, and you know sooner or later you're going to get someone that's good. But be very careful now that you don't sit there and be arrogant and cause yourself to have a missed opportunity with somebody that God sent in your life to bless you. Because that man know his worth. I recently had a guy who came up to me and we were talking. And, and again, I can't authenticate his story. I'm just giving you, so don't, women, come on now. Don't say, well, he lying. You don't know if it's true. I don't know, right? However, he came and he was saying to me that, he was in, this relationship with this young lady and he loved her with all of his heart. But she came out of a previous relationship and crazy stuff. And he felt like he's been treated like her ex. She's bitter, so she's taken out all of that stuff. She's judging him, and she doesn't take time out to look at the things that he's doing that are natural. The ex-boyfriend wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. But he, now the new man in her life, he's taken on responsibility. He married her. Ex-boyfriend didn't. He married her. He put her in a decent home. He gave her a car. He's doing all of these things. But the girl still is treating him, is acting like she's still with the ex-boyfriend. Now that is madness. That is mad. Wasted. Now, to me, this guy is sitting there and he is crying over it, saying he didn't know what to do. He's frustrated because he's done everything to try to please or whatever. Listen to me. Some people are too broken. You cannot fix them. They're broken. You can't fix them. You can't change them. You just simply have to accept how they are and leave them alone. Completely leave them alone because you can do better. Trust me, you can do better. And sometimes you just got to count your losses, walk, and just say, look, I know my worth. That's it. I know my worth. That's why I don't understand women who just sit there and let men physically abuse them. And I know sometimes there are threatening situations where a woman, feel our life is threatened, the kids and everything like that. But that is crazy. For you to sit there, get beat upon every day, physically hitting you, beat upon you every day, and he's threatening you, and you're thinking, without him, you can't make it. You don't know your worth. Do not waste time on people who don't value who you are. People you're telling your dreams to, and you're telling them, this is what you're believing in the future you're going to do, blah, 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 and they don't believe in you. Do you know how many times I've had people who confessed to me, true story, who confessed to me saying, Henry, I'm telling you, when you were much younger, in your teens, early teens and so forth, you used to say all these big things you're going to do. And it was true. I used to tell them, what I'm going to do. I used to even play the role of a bishop. It's crazy. I used to play the role of a bishop. I'm the bishop of a church and I'm in my head. I used to build these little buggies, back in the days in the island, we do some crazy stuff. And I was the bishop of the church. And I remember in my house, some days I used to open the windows, right? And create a desk and have a play phone at the desk in the window and pick up the phone and act like I'm in the office, like I'm a businessman. It is insane what I used to do. And people would laugh at me and people would say, there's nothing much about Henry, because remember, I didn't grow up with, a gold spoon in my mouth or certain opportunities and so forth. I had to fight my way through life. And they look at me today and they're saying, I can't believe that's you. I really can't believe that's you. And I'm looking back at some of the same people who are saying that now. Back then, their attitude, I didn't fit into their group. But now today, God has blessed me that they're looking back and they're like, wow, true story. I'm telling you, true story. I remember, and I can tell you this, man, from Brooklyn. Before I met my wife, there was another girl I was kind of interested in, and I liked her, and and so forth. And I tried to, make a pass at her, and oh God, I tell you, because I was a little bit shy, and she didn't too check for me, and that's fine, And I'm trying to fix my cap here, And I was like, okay, all right, no problem. And one thing with me, I know my space, I'm fine, and so forth. And because I wasn't a musician in the church, I didn't have a car, because the girls, that's who they were going after. The guys who they thought had something to offer then. But ladies, please hear me loud and clear. Never date a man or marry a guy just because you see physically what you can get from him. Here's the reason why. Things change. People's situation changes. And I'll prove it to you. I didn't have much. I had one pair of shoes. I had one pants and two shirts. That's all I had. My shoes, one of the shoe had a big hole at the bottom of it. I swear, I'm not lying. So, of course, I wasn't the typical guy, the girls in the church back then would want to date. So they never wasted their time with me. I never wasted my time with them either. Long story short, I left New York, came to Florida, and the same girl I tried to date, at the end of the service, I didn't even know she was in the service, didn't even know that. She came down to the stage and, she said, I heard this person pointed and, I stepped down and said hello. And she said, Henry? And, okay, you mighty, who are you to just say Henry? Now, I'm not caught up on titles or anything like that, but the way she said, I'm like, who are you? She said, Henry. And I said, yes. And then she started saying about Classen Avenue in New York and the different, and I said, okay, this person know me. And she was saying, and then she said, you don't know me? And then she called her name out. And I says, oh my God, how are you? Totally look different. I mean, can I just be honest with you? Listen to me. Oh. She looked like she had a semi-truck 18-wheeler double deck ran over her. No, I'm serious. I couldn't believe. I was shocked. When she called her name out, I was like, huh? How you doing? I lie not to you. She looked at me and she said, Henry, look at you. Oh my God. I sat there and with tears in my eyes, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Oh my God. Henry, if I had known in Classen Avenue. And I stopped her. I said, no, baby, that's okay. I said, great to have you. How are you doing? Where are you now? And should I say anything else? Come on now. Know your worth. She didn't value me then. She didn't see that, okay, he's got potential. And here's the point. Look for potential, because as long as the person has potential, they may lose what they currently have, but that potential will make them gain much more than what they lost. So don't waste your time on people. I don't know who this is for. Don't waste your time on the job that you tried to apply for and they rejected you. Don't waste your time on people, even in the faith, who discredit you. I came out of a denomination that I had a horrible experience with. I'm not lying. They treated me very bad in the end. And I never spoke evil against them. I never disrespected them. Never. And I remember one Saturday, the leadership team of the organization came to my office at the church. And I tell you, man, it was like the mob coming at me. Seriously. And they laid it out, threatening me to take my license and everything. It was crazy. Young preacher, just trying to do what I need to do. But they did everything that day to devalue me and everything like that. And one of them looked at me dead straight in the eye and told me, you'll never make it, son. I'll never forget those words. You will never make it. Humble yourself. Wow. That crushed me. That it came from people I respected. People are my seniors. and they have placed no value on me. When I look at my life today, that even one of them came back and asked this little fellow advice on how to start a church, how to grow a church. When you know your value, you don't let anybody, when you know your worth, when they tell you you can't, you say, I can do all things with the God that's backing me up. Well, next, don't waste your time with people who are attempting to use you. Now, some of you, you know that people are using you. You know, but for some reason, you can't accept it. There's a whole lot of people who will attempt to use you. And you know, the signs are there. The signs are there. I don't need to go any further. The signs are there. You see them do stuff. You see them, their action. I don't care what a person says. Follow their actions. People will use it. Relatives will use you. Person you're dating will use you. Unfortunately, your spouse will use you too. Your children will use you. Your coworkers, your boss, the company you work for. People will use you. The community, politicians will use you. Hello, preachers will use you. Don't waste your time with people who try to use you. Going back to the previous one, know your worth. Don't let anybody use you. At this stage of your life, you ought to ask yourself this very important question. Okay? All right? Do you want people who brings value to your life, or do you want people to devalue your life? The choice is yours. So if they're attempting to use you, you know what to do. Don't waste time. Time is quickly passing. So you need to make sure that you don't. Next, don't waste time on people who gossip about you. That's hard. That's hard. Every one of us will experience character assassination one day. People will try to attack you and gossip about you. And here's where it hurts the most is some of the same people who are in your circle who will smile with you and talk with you behind your back. They're not saying wonderful things about you. Behind your back, they're not saying the same things they pretend to say in front of you. Don't waste time with those people. Don't waste time about the gossip. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you know what one of the things I learned too over the years, my goodness, man, every time I used to hear something bad about me, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to prove it. Sometimes you just need to shut up. Shut up and let people talk. You don't need to always defend yourself. And I know sometimes you not defending yourself will give others the impression that maybe you're guilty, maybe it's true. Just shut up. Just shut up. Let people talk. Don't waste your time trying to put out gossip fires. That's it. Listen, see if it's the truth they're telling, then it's really, they're gossiping, but hey, it's the truth. But when they're lying and you don't deserve that, let them talk. So don't waste time. And finally, don't waste time with negative vibes directed at you by Satan and people that he will use. Don't. Satan will try to attack you with negativity in your mind. You start hearing your voices and negative thoughts. Just atmosphere. You wake up one day, just don't feel well, don't feel like you need to talk, don't feel happy. You know, some people, I'm telling you, especially when you go through the holiday seasons and so forth, people get depressed and everything like that in this COVID environment and so forth. No, negative vibes are there. Do not waste time. Do not, focus and meditate on the Word of God. Meditate on how blessed you are. Meditate on positive things. That's it. Meditate on positive things. And those positivity will, I think, will help you get through life. So I'm going to put up the 6 things I should say that you should never waste time on. Number one, past mistakes. Two, broken relationships. Three, people who don't value you. Four, people who are attempting to use you. Five, people who gossip about you. And number six, negative vibes directed at you by Satan and people he used. Don't. You're better than that. I want to see you succeed in every area of your life. Don't waste the time. I'll see you next time on another podcast.